Hey yo, how's it going everybody? Happy y'all today, round one of this Smogon NU tournament league thing that I joined. Now, for those of you who may have not seen my recent uploads, obviously because my draft audience and my Smogon audience may be a little bit separated, I did upload an update video talking about things that will be coming to the channel. So if you guys could check that out, I would really appreciate it. Definitely go listen to what I have to say, I guess, if you have the time, and that way you know everything that will be coming to the channel here. So yeah, of course, if you guys do enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button down below. Let's try and bump this video up to 50 likes. That is our goal for today. Also, let me know in the comment section below for future tournament battles, would you rather me do them live or kind of like this where I record it and then pause it and just kind of explain my thought process. I don't know if you guys have a problem with it. If you don't like it, then I don't know what to tell you. I guess I could try and do them live, but I want to see what you guys think on whether or not you want me to do them live and all of that. So yeah, let me know about that in the comment section below. So looking at the matchup here, first off, sorry, we are facing ISmail. I want to say that's how you pronounce his name. ISmail, ISmail, I don't know. But he is from Smogon. I saw that he's been in a couple tournaments before, so I don't know how good or bad he is. But yeah, we've got him for round one here. And this is a pretty cool team that me and my boy Harris made. It's based around SixftHax, Z-Move, Vikavolt. We have Scarf Passimian, Speedy Blastoise for Incineroar, Protect Defensive Steelix, Mixed Defensive Vileplume, and then SD I have Papa Berry and Incineroar, if I'm not mistaken. So looking at my opponent's team, easily the biggest issues that I see are Comfy, because if I lose my Steelix, Comfy just kind of bends me over. Heliolisk could be a little bit annoying with the proper prediction if I lose my Vileplume. Vileplume is mainly here to deal with the Heliolisk and the Passimian, since it is mixed defensive, but it could potentially get overwhelmed. So I need to be very careful with how I play my Vileplume. Incineroar shouldn't be an issue. Xatu plus Steelix could be a little bit annoying to deal with, just because that two do typically carry Roost, and of course Magic Bounce is going to potentially prevent me from getting up my Stealth Rock, so I do have to watch out for that. But if I can get rid of Steelix, then I think Vikavolt behind the sub just kind of puts in a lot of work, so that's gonna kind of be my game plan going into this match. So let's get this started. So he's gonna be leading off with Passimian as I lead off with my Vileplume. Vileplume was easily my best lead against absolutely anything, and nowadays Xatu and NU don't typically carry any type of Psychic Stab, and they don't carry Heat Wave either. They're typically Nightshade. But as I play this match, you're gonna see that I don't really play kind of like that, because I was still a little bit scared that this Xatu could potentially have the Psychic, which is why I make the aggressive switch into my Incineroar. Honestly, I should have just stayed in with Vileplume. I'm mixed defensive. I live anything this thing wants to go for. Plus, I would have also been able to get off a little bit of Rocky Helmet chip damage on it, but it's not entirely too big of an issue as I bring in my Incineroar. Potentially on his Psychic, he does bring in the Passimian. The fact that he does want to go for U-turn is very, very obvious as he U-turns on my Vileplume. I was really hoping that I could get the Effect Spore there. That crit doesn't matter. He did get a crit to 35%, but it really doesn't matter. But if I'd been able to get off the Effect Spore on his Passimian, that would have been amazing, because that would have made it a little bit easier to deal with. Or if I'm able to knock it off, then I should be able to deal with it as well. As I go for the Moonlight here, even if Heliolisk is Specs, which it is, I can easily tank any 2 hits. As he brings back in the Xatu again, I'm really worried that he may have the Psychic, which was really foolish of me. Again, I should have just honestly stayed in and gone for the Psychic. As I bring in Steelix, bring in my Incineroar, expecting him to go for the Nightshade, and this is going to allow me to go for the knockoff now on something, as I decided to go straight for the Flare Blitz on the Steelix, because again, if I can get rid of the Steelix, Beginnium Z Vikavolt is going to be able to absolutely nuke something with the Beginnium Z, essentially. So I just sack off my Incineroar, because really I didn't think I needed Incineroar at this point in the match. I guess I can speed tie with his Incineroar, and I guess the knockoff is nice for Xatu. But even though I have Papa Berry, I would have come in on 18%. I gained my berry back. That puts me up to about what, like almost 60%, like 58%. I want to say. I don't know. I'm terrible with that. No, like 68%, around there. And then I still have to take 1 hit, and that's gonna put me below like probably 30-40%. So when I switch back in, I'm extremely low. So I really feel like I didn't need Incineroar at that point in the match. I felt like it was kind of the most expendable thing that I could have let go of. As I go for the U-turn on his switch into the Comfy, I bring in my Blastoise. In hindsight, this was a bit of a questionable play because I was debating on whether or not I should bring in Vileplume or I should bring in my Steelix. The main reason I didn't want to bring in Steelix is because I could just force him directly into the Xatu, which in hindsight might have not actually been that bad. And if I brought in Vileplume, I basically just click Sludge Bomb for free. Honestly, like there's really no drawback to me clicking Sludge Bomb whatsoever. So I really feel like Blastoise was kind of the worst of my plays that I could have made in this scenario. Like, yeah, I'm able to Rapid Spin, and that is going to be really nice for my Vikavolt in the back and to potentially keep sturdy on my Steelix. But now this Comfey is going to start boosting up, and this is going to get a little bit scary. So this is where I kind of wish I had Roar as opposed to Refresh on my Blastoise. It definitely would have come in handy here. I think we were debating on either Roar or Refresh, and Roar here would have been nice. Even Haze would have been really good. Like Haze plus Toxic, I think definitely would have been able to deal with this Comfey, as I'm going to try and pivot in and around this thing in hopes that maybe I can catch some certain 50-50s as I lose my Vileplume here. Me losing Vileplume is not necessarily the end of the world. Like, yeah, this was again here for the Heliolisk and the Passimian, but I think what I should have done was either sacked off my Blastoise, maybe Steelix. I don't know. If I lost Steelix, then I guess Heliolisk clicks electric moves for free, but then I give Vikavolt and Vileplume in here, so I guess maybe sacking off Steelix wouldn't have been the worst thing ever, because with this being toxic, I can then bring in my own Vileplume here and then just Sludge Bomb. Even if he is boosted up, I can still tank hit him Power Fire at least once and severely weaken him. So yeah, kind of played poorly around this Comfey, but it is what it is, as I will be able to then bring in my Steelix here. I do luckily have the Protect, so this Comfey will go down. So this thing was able to get rid of my Vileplume, but things are not entirely too bad at this moment in the match, as in comes the Incineroar. I do have my Blastoise in the back. I really lose nothing in bringing it in here, as he gets a burn with the Fire Blast. In the long run, that burn doesn't matter. Like, it was annoying at the time, but it really doesn't change anything. I think even if I hadn't been burned, I don't think the extra bit of HP that I would have been at really would have mattered entirely too much. But because I am very speedy Blastoise, I will be able to get off a bit of damage on his Incineroar, as in comes the Heliolisk. I don't really have a good switch into this, so I have to sack off my Blastoise here, as I will be able to bring in my Passimian, and now I can more or less either go for U-turn or knock off. I really feel like close combat is not the play I want to make, just because again, Xatu is easily a great switch into his Passimian. Passimian does not do much to Xatu, so that's actually why I decided to go for the knockoff. Also, on the off chance that he did leave in his Heliolisk, me knocking off its choice specs means that I'm still gonna guarantee take any one hits. The only downside is that he has free liberty to switch out moves, but that also means he's gonna be doing less damage to my Vikavolt, which I still have in the back, and it's also running a bit of HP investment, so it has some bulk. So regardless, I really felt like knockoff in this scenario was gonna be my best play, as I do a whopping, like, this did way more damage. That did 65% to this Xatu, and I did not expect it to do more than like 55, honestly. So I checked the calc, and it looks like I do have a possibility of finishing him off with another knockoff, so I really felt like I lost nothing in doing so. As he brings in the Passimian, getting off the chip damage on Passimian is really nice, as I will be able to bring in my own Vikavolt here. And at this point, the fact that he's not going to stay in here is way too obvious. I can't afford to substitute. I can't afford to roost either, because he can easily just bring in Incineroar here. So looking at his team at this moment, what I can honestly do is just click Buginium Z Bug Buzz and get a KO. This should drop. Heliolisk isn't going to be taking it either, and then Incineroar at 60% is definitely going to get KO'd. If it was Aya Papa Berry, it wouldn't have activated, and that's really good, as in comes the Heliolisk. I was debating on switching out here, because by losing my Vikavolt, I lose my last answer to close combat from Passimian, but I still have a possibility of easily winning this match, because even though my Vikavolt goes down, this allows me to bring in Passimian, and now with Xatu at 35%, Passimian at 84%, can't take two close combats regardless. Heliolisk gets dropped by close combat regardless, and then Xatu is going to get 2 KO'd as well. So I really lose nothing in just going for close combat here, as I knock out the Heliolisk, and he's going to decide to bring in his Passimian here. Now, this is where the game gets a little tricky, because in all honesty, I didn't calc here. I was like, okay, I can probably knock out Passimian with close combat, and like it's at 84%, right? Like, I should do 84% to Passimian. No, turns out that it's going to always live close combat here, And me being very rusty and not knowing much of the recent NU metagame and how it's been, because I decided to throw myself in the deep end here, but hey, you either sink or you swim, and that's where we're coming from right now. I stay in here and I go for close combat, thinking that I would knock out the Pissimian as it just barely lives, and in return he's going to close combat me and knock me out. Now, what I could have also done to potentially have given me a better shot in this match was switched in Steelix, let him knock me out with close combat. That way I then bring in Pissimian and I have to lock myself into Gunk Shot. Gunk Shot should knock out Zatoot at 35%. I don't lower my defenses, and in return I can still live one close combat from the Pissimian. The only downside to that is that I would have had to try and hit 3 Gunk Shots back to back to back. And I think that would have definitely given me better odds in winning this match, instead of me just blindly staying in here and clicking close combat on the Pissimian in hopes that I would be able to knock him out with the close combat. So yeah, he is unfortunately going to finish my Pissimian off here, and then my Steelix will not be able to live a hit. Maybe if I protected, maybe. I don't really think so. It really wouldn't have mattered, because Zatoot at that point would have been able to knock me out regardless. So yeah, unfortunately we lose game 1. And we went on to game 2, and I managed to win game 2, and of course I did not save the replay. I promise I'm not bullshitting you guys. You can even go ask ISmail. I'm sorry, Ishmael. I want to say it's Ishmael. I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name, but you can even go ask him if you really want to. But I promise you, we went to game 2. I won game 2, didn't save the replay, which really sucks because it was a really cool Mega Bombasnow team, but I may use that for like a future Showdown Live, I guess. Actually, I really want to use this team too in a Showdown Live if you guys want to see more of the squad here. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead into game 3 here because I'm an idiot and I forgot to save the game 2 replay. In other tournaments I've been in, you have to link your replays, but it turns out in this one you don't have to. So people typically save the replays and then they just link them all in the post, and I guess that's how this was, and it's my fault that I didn't save the second game. I thought he would save the second game, but hey, it is what it is, and here we are with game number 3. This is a really cool team I got from Harris based around Spext, Alolan Executor. I changed up the Heliolisk set to Water Z, because that way I could power right through Steelix, which I think he brought to game 2 as well, if I'm not mistaken. But this is like the exact same team he brought from game 1, and I was actually real close to bringing the Vikavolt team again, because I really felt like that Vikavolt team would have had a chance of beating this team, the first team from the first game, if you guys get what I'm saying. Regardless though, we do have Z Heliolisk, Specs, Eggy, standard defensive Licks. We have defensive Zatoot, Scarf Pissimian, and again SD, Ayapapa, and Incineroar. So much like the first matchup, Heliolisk is very annoying. But another big thing I realized is that his Pissimian can actually just kind of dick me down. Like, there's not really much I have for Pissimian outside of my Zatoot, and I need Zatoot to deal with his Steelix, which if his Steelix is cursed, he's going to be able to severely weaken my Zatoot, and I need to be very careful with that. I also need to keep Steelix around for his Comfey and his Heliolisk. Incineroar could be a little bit of an issue if it Swords Dances, so I have to be careful with that. And then Zatoot is just Zatoot, but if I can get rid of his Steelix, much like game 1, my electric type can actually put in a decent amount of work, which with the Water Z I should be able to handle the Steelix accordingly. So let's get this started. I'm going to be leading off with Pissimian as he leads off with his own Pissimian. Turn 1, I figured that it's probably worth me going for knockoff, because if I lose a speed tie, whatever comes in is going to get knocked off. I don't think he's going to want to risk a speed tie either if he does want to hard switch out, or if he does stay in, he may want to go for the U-turn thinking that I don't want to risk a speed tie, and then I switch out and he gets switch initiative. So that's why I actually decided to go straight for the knockoff turn 1. Turns out I win the speed tie, which is actually not that bad, because the fact that this Pissimian is now not scarfed makes it a whole lot easier for my Heliolisk and my Pissimian to deal with, because now I don't have to worry about a speed tie with my own Pissimian, and my Heliolisk is also not able to outspeed him, which makes Heliolisk that much of a bigger threat for him to try and deal with. So he is going to end up going for the U-turn here after I go for the knockoff. In comes the Steelix. I am locked in to knockoff, so I really don't want to stay in here, as he makes an excellent play, goes for the curse, knowing that I wouldn't stay in with Heliolisk because I am locked into knockoff, and easily just give him stealth rocks. And this is where him being cursed is going to end up being a bit of a giant issue to deal with. So at this point I'm trying to figure out some way that I can maybe play around this Steelix, or if anything I want to try and bait him to get up Stealth Rock, so I think I switch out into my Steelix this turn, yeah, and then the next turn I'm gonna bring it back in. I'm gonna bring my Xatu back in, hoping that he would try to go for rocks, but he ends up going for the Earthquake, and all I really accomplished was him getting back leftovers recovery. And this is where I started to realize, okay, I cannot let this thing just passively gain back HP, because it's going to be more and more annoying to deal with. So I have to be aggressive. I go for the Nightshade as I barely live this heavy slam. This is really nice because now I can go ahead and not only knock out the Steelix, but I can also get switch initiative. Now I honestly don't mind sacking off my Xatu to this Passimian, because if I'm able to be aggressive enough, and if we're gonna be playing the sack games, I have 2 mons that easily outspeed this Passimian and pressure him every single time, and that's very beneficial to me. So again, I really felt like I lost nothing and just leaving in my Xatu here. If anything, I can still sack something else off to the Passimian later in the match, and then I just bring back in Heliolisk, or I bring back in my own Passimian, and we go from there. So I decided just to Volt Switch here. There was really no reason for him to leave in his Passimian, so I figured Volt Switching was my better play, as I can then U-turn with my Passimian here out into my Steelix. I do want to try and get up rocks, but he does still have his Xatu in the back, and I figure that's going to be coming in here, so I decided to go for the Heavy Slam. Get off a decent amount of damage. 36% is actually pretty good damage on the Xatu, and what I want to try and do here is either be aggressive, just like keep spamming Heavy Slam, or I could try to switch out, and I believe I do decide to be aggressive and I go for the Heavy Slam. As I catch the incoming Passimian, I'm gonna go for the Protect just to get back up into sturdy range and see what maybe he wanted to do. As he goes for the U-turn, this is where the match just goes downhill for me. This was just a really stupid play, honestly. Like there's no way around it. There's no 2 ways about it either. Like there was no reason for me to stay in with Steelix. Literally, Steelix was the one thing stopping Heliolisk and the Comfort from just kind of going to town on me. And I guess, like, I don't know, I can't tell you guys what I was thinking. It was clearly not the correct thing to be thinking, because the fact that I've let my Steelix get this weakened now means that if I lose this, I just lose to Comfy, or if Comfy just gets up a calm mind in general, I potentially lose as well. So what I should have done in hindsight was sacked off my Executor, or I should have just hard switched directly into a Alolan Executor. That way I still had Steelix very healthy. I could have still tried to apply pressure to the Xatu. I could have also kept it around for the Comfy later in the match, and even if Comfy had got up to +1, as long as Steelix was above like 60-ish%, I want to say, I always live any one hit from Comfy at +1, even if it's modest life orb. And me staying in to take this close combat just to KO this Passimian was really bad on my end. I should have just sacked off Alolan Executor, and now I've opened the floodgates for Comfy to potentially win, as well as the Heliolisk, because he is going to end up bringing in Heliolisk here. As I go for the Protect again, I should have switched. I don't know why I was so adamant about protecting here. I could have just brought in my Dougie and my Alolan Executor. Did I keep calling this Dougie? I felt like I kept calling this Dougie. I apologize. Eggy. I meant to say Eggy. Eggy here, Alolan Executor here, could have come in, taken the Surf, and then I click modest Choice Specs Leaf Storm, which not even Xatu is going to appreciate. And then on the Roost, I can bring in Incineroar, and that puts me in an amazing position. Protect here actually really hurt me in the long run of the battle, and then he makes an amazing double switch into the Comfey, and this is where I just lose, because as I bring in my Incineroar, I don't go for the Swords Dance. I don't know why I didn't Swords Dance here. I figured that maybe Flare Blitz, because I was max attack, and Comfy don't typically carry defensive Vs. They have some HP V, some speed, and max special attack, or something along those lines, but typically they don't have physical defensive Vs. I figured that I can take the Draining Kiss and hopefully knock him out with the Flare Blitz, but as you see here, Draining Kiss did 42%, so I could have gone for the Swords Dance, taken another Draining Kiss, and then gone for the Flare Blitz and at least made it a double down. If not, then something gets absolutely smacked by a +2 Flare Blitz, and unfortunately the Flare Blitz recoil puts me directly in range of where another Draining Kiss will knock me out, and at this point there is just nothing I can do against this Comfy unless I try to go for a paralysis here, maybe a crit. That was really all I could have done at this moment in the match. So I really shot myself in the foot with my Steelix and then with my Incineroar. Now, I'm not saying that I would have won if I SD'd with Incineroar, but I would have had a chance to win. If I had saved my Steelix, it would have given me an even better chance to still win, because as you can see here, Comfy is just gonna kind of go to town on the rest of my team. So yeah, very good games to ISmail. We did lose a 2-1, and there is no place to go but up from here. And if I'm not mistaken, there is actually a losers bracket for this tournament, so we are still technically in the tournament. Actually, I've always been confused on how like loser brackets win. Like if you win the losers bracket, do you play the winner of the winner bracket? I don't know, but we're still in the losers bracket here, so we still have a chance to potentially win this league tournament. I'm so used to saying leagues because of draft leagues, but this tournament here on the Smogon forum. So yeah, we did take an L our first game, but hopefully we will be able to bounce back. We do have some other tournaments going on as well. Laddering will be returning for those of you who do like the showdown stuff, and then hopefully as the year progresses, we will be able to get better and do better and get higher into further rounds of these tournaments that I will be joining. So if y'all did enjoy, hit that thumbs up button down below. Again guys, the goal is 50 likes if you did enjoy. Of course, let me know if you would rather see these live or post commentated. I couldn't do this live because I was kind of really rushing because I had something come up, so I may try to do the next game live and see how you guys like that. But let me know in the comment section below, and with that being said, I will see you all tomorrow. So later everybody.